Hello, everyone, and welcome to The Impossible. I'm your co-host, Austin, and today we are going to continue in the series of Parts Unknown. So I have gone and completed yet the second cycle of the consolidation therapy, and today I wanted to walk you through the last day of treatment, day 8, cycle 2. So with this day here, I came into it feeling pretty rough. I have to admit. Day 1 of cycle 2 was mostly my realization of things weren't going so well coming off of the first cycle, and then having that day 1 introduction again. My body just didn't have enough time to recover, which to a degree is the point, because we need to make sure that the cancer doesn't have enough time to recover. So, feeling a bit rough. Things are a bit gnarly going on the inside, and my mouth sores were still not doing well. So have a lot of scarring that's occurred because of it, and that's just the name of the game. Something it'll heal up over time, but it's all of who have maybe bitten to their cheek, or had some type of issue on the inside of the mouth, that it takes a while to heal, and it's not fun to deal with that during it, because then you have to watch what you eat, watch what you drink. And for me, with the mouth sores in general, I already had that aspect under observation, and I had to take it one step further with the scarring, especially, and it happened on the insides, lower inside of both my cheeks, and so just had to be really careful with what I consumed. And so that was those aspects, the side effects were really present going into this last dosage. And thankfully the nausea was down a little bit. Nausea was at a tolerable level going into the day. And I didn't think that I know that there's a lot of medication that I'm on for these nausea problems, but I do my best to not have to rely on them after so many days post dosage. So I try to wean off the Zofran, wean off the Ativan, just to try to get not having to rely upon those to keep myself at bay. The Ativan especially, I don't want to take that too often and too much. So try to keep those dosages down as much as I can. And so going into this day, I was a few days off of the medication, but then I prepped again the night before. In the morning of, I prepped with Ativan and Zofran just to get it back into my system, and kind of have that head start. So we get into the hospital. There we go. And this time here, it starts at 9:00, but for the day 8 days, I don't have, I do have blood work, but it's just done in the treatment room. It's not done in the actual blood draw department downstairs. And so I immediately go in, sit down in the chair, have the blood work done. That takes about 30 minutes, 45 minutes to get the results back, because I have to have the results back, obviously, to continue with the delivery of the chemo. And everything came back okay. For the situation that I'm in, everything looked okay. And we had the delivery of, we start off with the doxorubicin, and again, I have to take it to a 2-hour delivery instead of the 1-hour delivery, and just makes it for a very long day. And we get done with that, but about halfway through, I don't know what it was, but my initial medications, because I get a lot of, again, pre chemo delivery, pre-meds, I'll call them, and those seem to start to wear off about 3/4 of the way through the delivery of the doxorubicin, and that's not good. Doxorubicin is the only one that's colored, and I cannot see that color while it's being delivered. I can't. I can picture it now and not feel too bad, but in that moment, in that chair, there are a few things that I still really struggle with. And one of those is seeing the delivery of the doxorubicin into my, because it's off of the tree, and it comes down and it's in a bunch of tubing, and it's just, you can see the tubing going in you, and then that's what sets me off. And I don't like to admit to a whole lot of things. It's not that I don't like to admit. Apologies. It's that there aren't many things that set me off. Kind of, trauma-wise, I guess, is the best word I can come up with right now. Because unfortunately, it still does affect me, even from earlier, relapses and earlier treatment that I've had back in the years. And so seeing that in that moment really, really, really sets me off. And I immediately, it almost feels like the pre-meds kind of, wither away rapidly in those moments. And so I had asked for more Ativan, and they said, well, we can't give it to you for like another half hour, or I forget what they said precisely. And I said, well, I need something for this. I need something for the nausea. Otherwise I'm about to throw up. And so they brought me, more Zofran, but I think they brought it in pill forms, because I had the IV, already delivered as well, like liquid form. So I had, IV Zofran, IV Ativan, and the Benadryl as well, for allergic reaction reasons. But, so I've had all that stuff already. Those were my pre-meds. And so they came in and brought me that, and it helped for a little bit. And so what I did was, I can say it now and, everything should be fine. But I went ahead and I had olanzapine in my bag. And so I took an olanzapine as well, which olanzapine is one to take in the evening or right before bed, because it does cause drowsiness. And so, but in this case, I was like, I'm totally fine with falling asleep. I don't want to be awake for the delivery of the chemos in general, so especially now. And so they brought Zofran, but then I took an olanzapine as well, and it knocked me out. And I was, in that case, that may not have been the best of moves to make, but ultimately, I was too uncomfortable. I know with Impossible Performance here that we have this sort of implied sense of kind of seeking discomfort, to a degree. But in this case here, I need to help myself in this case, because this is not the end of chemo for me. I have the transplant coming in December, and that's 6 days in a row of chemo. And so what I wanted to try and prevent was throwing up in that room due to this. And then that's based on experience in the past. I know that was going to set me back for when I go into the transplant and into for that chemotherapy regimen, because what something as simple as, just throwing up can seem, it's not fun, but it can seem fairly docile. Unfortunately, when it comes to the delivery of chemo, for me at least, as soon as I throw up once, as many times as I go in for chemo again in the near future, I will continue to, I will have that sort of immediate reaction going into the going in for treatment. My God, from henceforth. So I really wanted to prevent that. I don't want to have that reaction because, one, past experiences, but two, this is 6 days of chemo in a row. Me having 3 days of chemo in a row for my treatment in Houston caused a lot of discomfort on the third day. The third day, on my commute into the hospital, I threw up in the car and, had to clean that up when I got back, but, that had to sit in my car for 10 hours. And I threw up when I got into the chair as well there. And then for my original time at Cleveland, I went in and it was the second or third out of 8 doses of chemo. I went in and I couldn't bear it. They weren't taking care of me anti-nausea wise. And so I immediately, the second or third dose, I went in and I threw up. And every single chemo delivery after that, as soon as I would walk in, I would ask for a bag, and about 15-20 minutes in from the start of sitting in that chair, I would have to give up my stomach. And so I don't want to go through that again. And if I have to go through it again, I want to try to, I'm trying to prevent it as much as possible for those 6 days. And then the days afterwards as well. Because, again, I felt pretty rough after the 3 days of chemo in a row back in Houston. But this is going to be 6 days, and it's more aggressive chemotherapeutic agents. So it's going to be rough. But for day 8, cycle 2, I get through the doxorubicin. I very much get drowsy, kind of pass out again for about another 45 minutes to an hour, and I wake up to the end of the delivery. I think it was of the vinorelbine, one of those two, either the vinorelbine or the gemcitabine, and looking good. With the vinorelbine, again, it's a vasicant, so it's extremely volatile to all flesh in and out. And so I'm just kind of watching the vein, and they go and what they'll do is they'll take the saline in the tubes and just make sure that the blood flow is good. And it was good, so continued on with that, and I left that day feeling really, really rough. I tried to chew some ice cubes while I was awake for the last half hour or so before the end of the day, just to try to help with the mouth sores, because I knew that they were, they were already present, and coming into this, I wanted to try to, prevent that as much as possible coming into, these past couple of weeks since, and it didn't really help. The mouth sores got worse. At this point, my throat, actually, it started to hurt swallowing, existing, but it just all the time it was sore. But as soon as I would go eat something, it felt like the first few times that I had to swallow to kind of get it warmed up was, it didn't feel good at all. And the scarring inside the mouth was reopened, so I couldn't, nothing citrusy, nothing sour, nothing acidic, sour, bitter, bland, salt and pepper, seasonings, and just a lot of literally meat and potatoes, cold drinks, even with the weather kind of chilling down. Even now at this point, I'm still not super comfortable with with consuming warmer liquids. It definitely needs to be cooler just to try to help with my mouth. And I need to get used to that again for the transplant, because for the transplant, there's going to be 6 days of chemo, day of rest, day of stem cell infusion, and then probably a good week and a half after that, or even longer, unfortunately, but that my mouth is not going to be in a good position whatsoever. And that is just a reality that I have to face, and a reality that I'm going to have to try to do my best to manage. So just going to have to get used to consuming cold liquids with it being 40 degrees outside. That's fine. If it gets to 40 degrees, honestly. But hoping that it does in December. It should. And so I, that didn't really help, for the past couple of weeks. I just had to kind of suck it up and fight through the pain. Fatigue was there because my hemoglobin was dropping because of the chemo as well. So, training was super, super lightweight, 8 to 10 reps, but I would get 1 or, 2 sets in, and that was about it. Not a whole lot of movement that I could do, because I would just immediately, lose my breath. It was difficult to get the blood pumping. And so I didn't even train that much. Walking around was fairly difficult. And so it was pretty rough on the fatigue side this time, which I was surprised by, because generally I'm in a situation to where I don't have to worry too much about the fatigue. I can move around. I can do what normal activities. Yes, training is cranked down, heavily, but at least during, daily activities, daily chores, I don't have a problem with. But in this case here, it was really rough to get moving. And so that was really, again, just another frustrating side effect that I haven't dealt with too much in the past, but definitely now. And then that's about it. I had some so my skin is also compromised. Entire body is, but my skin is as well. So I had some chafing as well. That was pretty rough, I have to admit. I'm gonna be frank with all of you. I did not like that. It was not fun to move around in, not fun to merely exist. Fought with it for quite some time, and we had to worry about infections because it's chafed down skin. It's more susceptible now to infections, and my immune system is compromised because of this, because of the chemo. And so, we had to be precautious, taking antibacterial medication, antifungal, which was rough as well, because then that's just more medication that I have to try to take, and have to see which one works, if it works, just to prevent anything. And I had a little bit of a problem, but everything's fine there now. But it's just, that was really, really rough, which also prevented me from doing a lot of daily activities and training as well, because I just, it's difficult to walk around in public naked, and it's also illegal, so can't do that. Shouldn't do that. Sorry. Oh my. Anyways. So yeah, that was the side effects were generally a bit more rough than what I remember and what I was used to. So, well, we got those taken care of, and then coming into last week, this is where I had tests done for preparations for the transplant, even though we didn't have, so I also had the PET scan, and so we're waiting for results on that to see whether or not that I can go into the transplant, because if I have so we're looking for a complete response. Now, when I say complete response, I mean they will put me in technical remission. So technically, if the PET scan does not detect anything, that is remission. But in my case, that does not mean that I'm out of the transplant. That just simply means that I can go into the transplant. If I have a partial response, that means that I have to continue with the consolidation therapy, which means more of the stuff that I've been going through, which is not what I want to do. I would like for there to be a complete response. Complete response meaning, again, the PET scan is clear, and so I can go into the transplant. I would still go through the 6 days of chemo. I still go through everything, but remission here is just simply to get me into the transplant. I've gone into remission before, and twice now, things were not taken care of. So that's why we're pulling out the big guns. So big old bomb. Yeah. So the different tests that I had to complete were a pulmonary function test. I had an ECG, an EKG, and a lot of blood work. And then I had meetings with the nurse that'll be handling my transplant. I've actually, she was a nurse in the department for when I was getting treatment at Cleveland in 2022. She was a nurse in the area that would take care of me and get my vitals and stuff before, and get me settled down before any, the actual like nurse running the chemo would come in and take care of. And so it was really cool to see her again, for this process, and that she's going to be taking care of me for it, which is, just really nice. And so we had an hour and a half meeting with her, and then I got to meet the social worker, which in my previous experience, I wasn't going into something, out of this world and super heavy. So, my past experience with the social worker was shorter, a shorter meeting, outlining resources and the basic stuff. This time here, going into a transplant, she performed basically just a general like state of health, state of mind panel for me, and to my surprise. And I was surprised. Okay, sorry, not sorry, but I don't mean anything by it. It's just I was surprised as to what had occurred during that meeting. That meeting was extremely beneficial for me. I got to talk about some things that had been kind of haunting me a little bit in my past experiences with the chemo, and its delivery, and so I was able to talk through some of the kind of traumas that I've experienced, in those times, which was really nice to kind of get off my chest. I've written down a lot about this stuff a lot. I've talked to you all about this stuff a lot, but having that person sitting in front of me, because I did go to therapy for 2 sessions back in the beginning of 2023, but it was the end of 2022, actually. Sorry. I went to 2 sessions, and then I then continued to go because I didn't have the time. I went off to vacation. As soon as I got back from vacation, I went straight back to work. I didn't have time to go up to Cleveland for therapy. So to have the social worker in front of me, asking these questions, asking how I was, and having that honest, sincere look of like, and she also told me, give me details. Tell me. We need to make sure that you're okay. We can't have someone, bumbling into the transplant all rough and everything, because it's going to be that intense. Like this is the intensity and the severity and the general outlook, or not outlook. The transplant is going to be an extreme situation for me to experience. So in this case, they spent an hour and 50 minutes with me, the social worker, to verify that I was good going into it. That tells you how much crap I'm going to be going through for this. So it was a good time. It wasn't a good time. It was a relieving experience. It was nice to talk to her, nice to, again, get some things off my chest, things that I'm not even, I won't be sharing with anybody else probably. And so that was extremely beneficial for me. And we also talked about some apprehensions that I had going into the transplant mentally. And we were able to talk through those as well. And really kind of balance things out. And also got to talk to her about Impossible Performance. It was incredible. Absolutely incredible to talk to her about what we're doing. And she's all gung-ho about, about being, about like checking us out. And I'm really hopeful that, she can, that you're watching or listening. So that'd be awesome. Yeah. So that was, so it was 2 days in total that we had these tests and meetings. And so, everything seemed to go, fairly well. And again, we're waiting for the PET scan results. So that is where we're at. I'm going to hope that the PET scan comes back good. It should. I feel fine. I don't feel anything up here. So, I do feel one node, but it's not, rock hard, solid. So I'm kind of hoping that is a good sign, and hoping for a complete response. That way transplant continues as planned, and we can get this done and over with. As much as I am thankful for what all of this has done in terms of the maturing and the onslaught of reality checks that I've had to endure with this, I'm very thankful to where I've gotten to and where I am now due to all of this. But I'm kind of tired of going through it all. So I would be very thankful for this transplant to be the last line of treatment that I'll ever need. Because if it doesn't work, things go downhill pretty quick. There are other lines of treatment, but I'm running out of options. So it's a beautiful day out. Sunny. It's in the low 60s, so nice little long sleeve shirt, doesn't hurt. Getting some pretty good sleep. All is well. And all shall be well. So, thank you very much for listening. Thank you for following us on this path. Thank you for following me on this path, but thank you for following Impossible Performance. Thank you for everything that you all do. Like and subscribe if you're on YouTube. Give it a download if you're on a podcast platform. And thank you to Kenetik again for fueling to whatever end or to whatever yields may show. I know that I've been fairly choppy in this discussion with you, but I'm doing my best. I promise. Chemo is not fun, but thank you to Kenetik for helping me try to stay as focused and as sharp as possible, wherever that and whatever that may be. So thank you, Kenetik. Thank you to King and Fifth. Love the hats. There we go. The Senna, my favorite, probably forever will be my favorite. Lovely hat. Like the hats. So thank you to both of them, and thank you to you for watching and for following. What I'm doing is nothing special. The strength that I'm trying to promote here and trying to wield is from within. I have found it through months and months, and now a couple of years of suffering. And what I hope and what we hope to do is to share with you how you can be able to find, or how you can find that strength within without having to go through such traumatic experiences. Or if you have gone through traumatic experiences and you want to try to find, a way out, or if you just need that one little extra, click, flip the switch, however and whatever we can to do to provide that for you is recording. We have a lot of new and exciting things coming up in the future to align with that as well. But for now, we love and enjoy and truly are honored to present you these podcasts of not just parts unknown, of not just the fireside chats, but of the guests as well that we have on here. They're all incredible people who have also gone through some type of experience that was extremely challenging, and they're either on top or getting on top, and we just want you to know that you're not alone, and because I know that I'm not alone in this fight. It's because of you. It's because of the community that we've built here, and I'm very, very thankful for that. Extremely thankful. I'm just trying to do my civic duty. I'm just trying to give back to for whatever I can and for whatever it's worth. So, and we continue onward, because us here at Impossible Performance are building a culture of strength, fostering a spirit of growth, in constant pursuit of the impossible. Take care, and as always, be impossible.